The minister says it's a bad idea, but they're only doing it for political reasons. Why is the Prime Minister putting lives at risk for politics?
Mr. Speaker, I don't even know where to begin with that. That's right. First off, I don't know where to begin.
This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Has admitted that going after farmers and hunters rifles is not going to fight crime. So the only reason to do this is politics. If he was telling the truth, then why not reverse? If not, why isn't he fired?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the gun registry, what the government is doing with the gun registry is putting in place a much more efficient way, an efficient way for Canadians to voluntarily return prohibited firearms, for fair compensation. This government is going to do it right.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
But his own Minister of Public Safety says this government is doing it wrong. He was caught on tape saying the program won't work, and yet they are going to rip $750 million away from our border and police services to harass duck hunters and farmers by banning the firearms they use. This approach has led to a 130% increase in gun crime under the Liberals' watch. The police say they won't implement it. The minister says it's a bad idea, but they're only doing it for political reasons. Why is the Prime Minister putting lives at risk for politics?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't even know where to begin with that. That's right. First off, I don't know where to begin because of all the misrepresentations in that intervention. The person who's putting lives at risk is the Leader of the Opposition who's voted against every single piece of gun legislation. What the Minister of Public Safety is doing it right. He's correcting an inefficient system to provide Canadians with fair...
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Criminals don't volunteer to gun.
Mr. Speaker, I have voted against the Liberal policy of reducing criminal sentences for those who use guns to commit extortion, to commit robbery, and to commit other serious offenses, while voting in favor of locking up criminals who use guns in the commission of crime. The police say that 90% of crime is done with guns that come illegally over the broken Liberal border. The Liberal Public Safety Minister admits that the Prime Minister is only playing politics. Will the Prime Minister stop the politics, fire the minister, and leave Grandpa Joe's hunting rifle alone?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, I will have too little time to address all the issues, but let me go back to something the Leader of the Opposition said, which he described farmers, duck hunters using AR-15s to hunt. I don't see that. I don't see that in my great province of Alberta. I also know that what the Minister of Public Safety and this government are doing is tightening the border. Bill C-2, will the opposition stand up and support the tightening of the border as he claims?
Good question.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
And there, the Prime Minister just admitted that he doesn't even know what his gun ban applies to. That's right. For example, this gun ban applies to 10 and 12 gauge shotguns, which are used by the great people of Alberta and all Canadians for duck hunting. It applies to 70 22 caliber firearms that are used by almost every farmer to go after gophers. Will the Prime Minister stop wasting money banning gopher guns, read his briefing notes so that he knows what he's talking about, and fire that incompetent minister?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what this government is doing is providing fair compensation for Canadians to return illegal firearms, illegal assault rifles, and what this government is doing is proposing the biggest tightening of our border in our nation's history. We want the support of the opposition to make sure that happens.
That's a very good point.
The Right Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
And he has absolutely no idea what guns he's banning, Mr. Speaker. He's banning 22s. These are known as farmers' guns to go after gophers and other pests. One of them is even called the plinkster, because that's the sound it makes when it bounces off a pop can. The Prime Minister is wasting precious border and police resources, harassing farmers, banning duck hunters, when real gun crime rages in our streets. Once again, will he pick up a briefing note so that he knows what he's talking about and go after the real criminals?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition has his briefing notes. The RCMP has their experience. The RCMP vets this list, decides this list, what are real guns and what are assault rifles, what should be kept off the streets. That is the process, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's knowledge bank on this subject is now depleted, so we'll move on to something else. The subject of food prices. Prime Minister said that he would be judged on the prices at the grocery store. Well, the verdict is in. Food prices are rising 50% faster in Canada than in the U.S., almost double the Bank of Canada's target. The Daily Bread says there will be 4 million visitors to Toronto food banks, a doubling over 2 years ago. And yet the Prime Minister has 3 grocery taxes in place and going up while people line up at food banks. Will he stop taxing food so Canadians can afford to eat?
Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me bring the Leader of the Opposition up to speed on taxes. This government cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. This government cut taxes on first-time home buyers. This government cut the carbon tax.
The Honourable. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly.
Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
What do you call a person who says one thing in public and then the exact opposite thing in private? Because that's exactly what this public safety minister did. He called the Liberal $750 million gun buyback a politically motivated scam. His #1 job is to keep Canadians safe. Violent crime is up, gun crime is up, and 90% of gun crimes, police say, come from illegal guns. His main plan he calls a scam. This is stunning incompetence. Why hasn't he been fired?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I was proud to launch the assault-style firearm compensation program in Nova Scotia. We look forward to expanding it across Canada. This is part of a broader plan to ensure that our guns are off our street. It includes changes to the criminal code. It includes resources at the border, $1.3 billion investments at the border. And Mr. Speaker, Bill C-2 is right in the House today. I invite the party opposite to support us so that we can get that through Parliament.
The Honourable Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
Except in a private conversation, this minister said the exact opposite thing. He called the Liberal gun buyback a politically motivated scam. Now, imagine what could be done with this $750 million. How many police officers could be hired? How many border officers could be hired? How many scanners could be purchased to find the illegal guns coming in from the United States? And yet, he's doing nothing. He's pushing forward with his politically motivated scam. Canadians deserve better. They deserve to be safe. This is staggering incompetence. Why won't the Prime Minister fire him?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, staggering incompetence is when you think that AR-15s can be used for hunting and for farming, Mr. Speaker. We have brought forward a very important plan in Nova Scotia. We look forward to expanding it across Canada, Mr. Speaker. We look forward to doing that in the near future. We're going to be investing in 1,000 new RCMP as well as 1,000 new CBSA officers, Mr. Speaker. We will ensure that our borders are safe and guns are off our streets.
The Honourable Member for Barrie South Innisfil.
600 foreign nationals with criminal convictions are roaming around Canadian cities. More than half are on the CBSA's wanted list, and their whereabouts are unknown. Over 70% of these non-citizen criminals have been convicted of serious crimes, including sexual assault. The Public Safety Minister has one job, and that's to keep Canadians safe. On this and many other issues, he is failing miserably. And it's really hard to believe that the Prime Minister just yesterday said he has confidence in the minister. Why won't he fire this minister? Because not doing so calls into question the Prime Minister's judgment.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, this year the Canada Border Service Agency has removed over 20,000 people, Mr. Speaker. This is one of the largest removals in Canadian history. CBSA will continue to do his job, Mr. Speaker. We will ensure that we're hiring another 1,000 new CBSA officers to strengthen the border and to ensure enforcement, and we will continue to make sure that our borders are safe. We will, at the same time, ensure that guns are off our streets, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Barrie South Innisfil.
He can't find them. He can't find the 600 serious criminals who are non-citizens who should be deported but are roaming the streets of Canadian cities. The minister had the entire summer to come up with a plan to find these convicted non-citizen criminals who've been convicted of crimes like sexual assault. He lost them, and he can't find them. My question through you to the Prime Minister: if this level of incompetence happened at Brookfield, would he still have the confidence in that person, or would he fire them?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, this year the Canada Border Service Agency will be removing 20,000 people who are not eligible to be here, Mr. Speaker. This is one of the highest in recorded Canadian history. We will continue to strengthen the border. We will continue to remove those who are not eligible to be here, Mr. Speaker. We will also be investing in 1,000 new CBSA officers, along with 1,000 new RCMP officers to make our borders stronger.
The Honourable Member for Windsor West.
Mr. Speaker, the #1 job of the Public Safety Minister is to keep Canadians safe. The Liberals promised to hire 1,000 border officers, and yet their own documents reveal they have not hired any, and have no plans to do so either. This will result in more guns and fentanyl being smuggled across borders like Windsor and Sarnia. This Public Safety Minister has failed miserably. How does the Prime Minister still have confidence in this minister? Why won't he fire him?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, this new government has made historic investments in our border, and that goes for CBSA as well, Mr. Speaker. We are in the process of starting to hire 1,000 new personnel for the CBSA and 1,000 new personnel for the RCMP. We're going to do the work necessary so that guns do not get into Canada. These are investments that are necessary, while the Conservatives, all they did was make cuts. Cuts to CBSA, cuts to the RCMP, cuts to law enforcement that needed them the most. We're going to invest in these programs to make sure that we can fight crime in Canada.
After 10 years of Liberal mismanagement, Canadians can't afford to put food on the table. In August, food inflation outpaced overall inflation by 84%, and food prices have gone up another 3.5%. But it was this Prime Minister who told Canadians he would be judged by the cost of food. Well, it's now Canadians who are paying the price for 10 years of Liberal photo ops, higher inflation, and breaking Canadian promises. Was this the Canadian dream that the Prime Minister promised? A country where Canadians can't feed their families?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, do you know what the best predictor of future behavior is? Past behavior. That's right. And Canadians have watched.
The minister. Okay, the minister may continue.
Mr. Speaker, they might not applaud so loudly after I read through the list of things that these folks have voted against year after year. Mr. Speaker, school food programs, childcare, tax cuts, support for training, support for union investments, Canada Summer Jobs, Mr. Speaker. Canadians wanted a government that believes in them, that invests in them, and they have that with this government.
The honourable member for Foothill.
Well, let's look at the past record. Justin Trudeau promised to Canadians that he would lower food prices by Thanksgiving of 2023. Never happened. This Prime Minister told Canadians that he should be judged by the cost of food at the grocery store. Well, judgment has been rendered. Beef is up 33%, grapes up 22%, coffee 24%. And now we have apple farmers raising the alarm with the sharp increase in theft of their product because Canadians can't afford the grocery store. How many people and how many families are going to be forced to the food bank before this Prime Minister admits Canadians he broke his promise?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, if there is a silver lining, Mr. Speaker, it's that I see some promise in perhaps that member supporting the budget that will be tabled very shortly this fall, where we will propose ambitious investments in Canadians, in Canadian families, in Canadian workplaces, in Canadian unions, in major projects, in our national defense system. Mr. Speaker, I can only hope that Conservatives have seen the light and they should stop voting against Canadian interests.
The honourable member for Newtecumseh-Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, while the Prime Minister jets around the world shaking hands with dictators and diplomats, Canadians are lining up in food banks in record numbers. He says he wants to be judged by the price of food in grocery stores, but he's too busy seeking approval at the UN to notice how much worse food insecurity is now for Canadians. Food prices have risen 50% faster in Canada than in the United States since March. How many more families must go hungry before he admits he's failed?
L'honorable ministre des Finances.
Mr. Speaker, I have enormous respect for this member, but it seems he's been missing in action this summer, Mr. Speaker, because this summer, 22 million Canadians got a tax cut, Mr. Speaker. He should be standing there and celebrating, but instead, Mr. Speaker, he fought against childcare. He fought against the Canadian Dental Care Program. He voted against the food program, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, the Conservative fought against Canadian. We'll stand on the side of Canadians, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Newtecumseh-Gwillimbury.
Well, Mr. Speaker, from what we see, this Liberal government cares more about international headlines than bread lines that Canadians are stuck in. They're saying, what about us, as food insecurity reaches a crisis point across the country? In my area, Simcoe County, a third of households can't afford to properly feed their families. Millions of Canadians are chasing their next meal. So why is the Prime Minister so focused on chasing applause from world leaders than the crisis right here at home?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, there might be a new election, but the same old Conservative, Mr. Speaker. Same old Conservative. Slogans won't feed children, Mr. Speaker. Slogans won't do that, Mr. Speaker. But you know what's going to help family, Mr. Speaker? Is taking action like cutting tax for 22 million Canadians. Instead of fighting against child care, instead of fighting against farmer care, instead of fighting against dental care, let them see if they're going to vote for this budget that's going to be generational to build this country, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Middlesex, London.
Speaker, the Prime Minister said said that Canadians would judge him by the costs at the grocery store. Well, the Liberal record holds that food bank use is up 142% since 2015, and the Daily Bread Food Bank expects 4 million visits in 2025. Families are cutting meals while costs are climbing and wages stall. He promised he would bring relief, but he didn't bring home the bacon, an item that's up over 20%. So will the Prime Minister stop the bait and switch and cut costs so Canadian families can afford to eat?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Speaker, seniors who built this country should never have to choose between paying for groceries or heating their homes. That's why our government has taken action. We're cutting red tape, we're building homes faster, we've introduced dental care, and more than 2 million seniors are already signed up to get benefits. We're building an economy that works for everyone. Let's be clear, Conservatives have a record of pushing the retirement age higher, cutting benefits, and leaving seniors behind. While they're voting against seniors, we are empowering older Canadians and protecting their dignity and peace of mind.
The Honourable Member for Middlesex, London.
Promises are about as empty as Canadians' grocery carts. In Middlesex County, 1 in 4 families are food insecure. It means they have no idea where their next meal is going to come from. And food banks, they can't keep their shelves stocked. At the checkout, grapes are up 22%, canned soup up 26%, coffee up 22%, and sugar up 20%. The Prime Minister's policies have clearly failed. So will he back measures that actually cut costs, or will he keep feeding inflation while Canadians starve?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the question. Mr. Speaker, families clearly need support to tackle food insecurity. That is why we're ensuring that more children are getting nutritious meals at school, while saving parents hundreds of dollars with the National School Food Program. We're putting more money in parents' pockets tax-free every month. This is a program, may I remind my colleagues, that you all on the opposite side of the House voted against.
The Honourable Member for Sarnia-Lambton-Bekedrunong.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister said Canadians should judge him by prices at the grocery store. Well, since he got elected, Canada's food prices have surged 50% faster than in the U.S. After 10 years of Liberal rule, we have record lineups at food banks. Families can't afford to put food on their table. They're struggling. The Prime Minister promised he'd be different, but it's just another bait and switch. So when will the Prime Minister cut food taxes, stop his plan to double the deficit in order to bring grocery prices down?
The Honourable Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, Nutrition North is showing real progress with results that are reaching more Northerners every year. In its first year, more than 15,000 harvesters were supported with hundreds of hunts and over 700 food sharing initiatives from Nain, Nunatsiavut to Old Crow, Yukon, showing the program's reach across the north. In Nunavut, the price of flour in Rankin Inlet has dropped by more than 65%, and in Aluklik, a dozen eggs that was once nearly $10 are now just $5. And today, 124 communities across the north are being directly supported through Indigenous
The Honourable Member for Calgary Centre.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of Liberal mismanagement, food bank usage in Canada is up 142%. In Calgary, demand for emergency hampers rose another 17% this past year. The Prime Minister said Canadians would judge him by the cost at the grocery store. Well, they are. They're lining up at food banks. This isn't about inflation. It's about a government that's lost control of affordability, employment, and in the end, human dignity. When will the Prime Minister stop grading himself on promises and start delivering real, tangible results for Canadians?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. You know, Food Banks Canada does essential work on the front lines, but they also make recommendations for politicians like us for better policies to support Canadians. So I'd put it back on that member. When we had a vote in this House of Commons just not that long ago on a national school food program, he voted against it. Every time we have a policy to support Canadians like $10 a day childcare or dental care, they vote against it. When we bring forward measures to ensure that there's more affordable housing for Canadians, they vote against it. So if you're going to quote the Food Banks Canada report, please read the report and consider some of their recommendations.
The honourable member for Calgary-Crowfoot.
Mr. Speaker, the Calgary Herald reports record demand at the Calgary Food Bank as food prices at the grocery store continue to rise faster than inflation and as unemployment approaches 8% in Calgary. The Prime Minister said he'd be judged by the cost at the grocery store, and the verdict is a scathing indictment of this Prime Minister's performance. When will the Prime Minister stop running out-of-control deficits that are driving inflation, unemployment, and demand at the food bank?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, in the last election, Canadians had a clear choice between a leader with economic and business experience versus a leader opposite that has no economic experience whatsoever. We are laser focused on building a strong economy. We're cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians. We're cutting the GST for first-time homebuyers. Interest rates has just dropped. And we are going to build houses at a scale not seen since the Second World War. Mr. Speaker, it's time for the Conservatives to stop the rhetoric, help us build the strongest economy in the G7. Get on board.
The honourable member for Quebec-Mactaquac.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of this Liberal government, Canadians can't afford groceries. Back home, the River Valley Food Bank in Woodstock reports serving twice as many people this time of year compared to last. These increases span every age group, especially seniors. These are our neighbours. They're not just statistics. They're our family members and they're our friends. Can the Prime Minister tell this House how on one hand he plans on tackling inflation and bringing down grocery costs, while on the other hand he's doubling the nation's deficit? How's that even possible?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Mr. Speaker, every member of this House of Commons cares deeply about the cost of living for Canadians. But there's one difference, Mr. Speaker. There's one difference. On this side, we're bringing forward initiatives and opportunities for real Canadians by building this country, Mr. Speaker. We're going to build big, we're going to build bold, and we're going to build now, Mr. Speaker, with working Canadians. We're going to create hundreds of thousands of jobs, more opportunities for apprenticeship. Mr. Speaker, Conservative voters want this. I hope the opposition gets on board.
The honourable member for King Vaughan.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister promised Canadians he'd be judged at the cost of the grocery stores. Yet, in August, food inflation soared 70% higher than the overall inflation. Denise, a senior in Quebec, is now forced to skip meals to survive the crushing cost of living. This is another broken promise from a Prime Minister who has let our seniors down time and time again.
Shame.
Will this Prime Minister stop doubling the deficit in order to bring down inflation so seniors don't have to skip their meals?
That's right.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Rural Development.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Point out, Mr. Speaker, I've been hearing the Conservatives complain about food prices, Mr. Speaker, but not one solution, Mr. Speaker. Not one idea, not one iota of support for some of the measures we've taken on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker. So those are empty, hollow words, Mr. Speaker, and my message to the Leader of the Opposition and the Conservative caucus, slogans don't put food on the table, Mr. Speaker.